You see what's down here in the corner? It's another human being. He looks like a hobbit because of the perspective and the angle that he's at. But you're a little fella. 10-4. Good morning, everybody. I am Bear of bearindependent.com, and today is the 14th of January 2022, or at least that's what the overlords want us to believe. Or whatever. Pick your calendar. What's up, the Michigander? This morning, we're going to talk about OSHA and internment camps. Question mark, all of the above. So, before we dive right into the brief, which is this right here, which if you're on Patreon, you would have had I remembered to post it for you this morning, but you will actually have shortly after the brief. You'll have all these links in the description. If you're on YouTube, you don't have it. Patreon.com, search for Bear Independent. That's the best way to support the show. Good morning, Coyote Hill. Good morning, Dirt Riders. I appreciate y'all. So, OSHA mandate, Occupational Safety Health Administration, those people from CNBC.com, which is the Cuck News Broadcasting Center. Supreme Court blocks Biden COVID vaccine mandate for businesses, allows the healthcare worker rule. Key points: the Supreme Court on Thursday blocked the Biden administration from enforcing its sweeping vaccine or test requirements for large private companies. So many talking points, all the best. Good morning, Cracker Turned Torah. Good morning, tremendous. Believe it. Beautiful. It's a beautiful cracker. Tasty. It's like a Ritz. Like the Ritz-Carlton, not as good as the Trump hotels. But the conservative majority court allowed a vaccine mandate to stand for medical facilities that take Medicare or Medicaid payments. The OSHA mandate required that workers at businesses with 100 or more employees get vaccinated or submit a COVID test weekly to enter the workplace. However, the Supreme Court SCOTUS said, nah. Liberal justices Stephen Breyer, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan dissented, writing that the majority has usurped the power of Congress, the president, and OSHA without legal bias. I would say that they should STFU and kiss my fat, white, hairy ass, because that's literally their job. It's literally their job. Now, whether or not they do it is a whole nother story. It is literally their job to determine the legality, the constitutional authority of what Congress proposes to do. And of course, OSHA is a bunch of unelected bureaucrats. So, what was that question? Best refuge medical kit to keep in a car 24/7. Bare Fact 3.0, or an adventure kit, one or the other. Bare Fact 3.0. 29 lives saved to death. Wow, more coffee. 29 lives saved to date in 2 years. So more than one not death per month. Wow, that's somebody pull that snippet out and use that against me. 15 reasons Bear is a fraud. In the face of a still raging pandemic, this is the dissenting vote, or the dissenting opinion rather. Quote, in the face of a still raging pandemic, STFU. This is predictive programming, by the way. It's not raging, and it never was a pandemic. This court tells the agency charged with protecting worker safety that it may not do so in all the workplaces needed, they said in their dissent. Right? In this day and age. Exactly right. Imagine still believing there's a pandemic. Right? Right. We agree with the government that the health... Oh, no wonder. I was like, I feel like I'm missing some of this report. It's front and back. Let's see. Although Congress has indisputably given OSHA the power to regulate occupational dangers, it has not given that agency the power to regulate public health more broadly, the court wrote in an unsigned opinion. I agree with that. OSHA's like, hey man, lock out, tag out. Don't trip over this extension cord. Do you have your fall protection harness on and your retractable lanyard if you're up over 6 feet? I do, sir. I'm 6 foot tall and the lanyard's 6 foot long. And so that means if I fall from this height, I'm going to hit the ground and fall over before the lanyard stretches. Doesn't matter. That's what OSHA said. Oh, okay, roger that. Do you have your anti-vibration gloves and your ANSI 87 certified eyewear and your hard hat and your chaps and your safety vest, reflective type 2 safety vest, and your composite toe or steel toe work boots and your 4-inch sleeve and all that before you start up the chainsaw? Oh, and did you spilled a little bit of bar oil from the chainsaw? We're going to need some oil dry, and we're going to have to double scoop that into two 55-gallon drum liners and put that inside of a metal 5-gallon bucket with the sealed lid on top of it, then mark it hazmat, and then take it to a special section of the dump. That's what OSHA does. Okay? Ask me how I know. That's what they regulate, not like not the cough jabby jab. But that's because of the workplace threat. That's what the Biden administration was trying to push through. Quote, as disease and death continue to mount, this court tells the agency that it cannot respond, this is the dissenting opinion, cannot respond in the most effective way possible. Without legal basis, the court usurps a decision that rightfully belongs to others. It undercuts the capacity of responsible federal officials acting well within the scope of their authority to protect American workers from grave danger. So the thing is, they used the term grave danger 100 times or so, because grave danger is the statute that has to be reached in order for OSHA to be able to mandate. I think this law is from 1971. In order for OSHA to be able to mandate, there has to be the presence of grave danger. There's not grave danger. You can get sick from COVID-19. You could potentially die from COVID-19 if you have 2 or more comorbidities. It's not grave danger, though, okay? It's not grave danger. There's 100% chance if I climb up on top of a water tower without a fall protection harness and I fall off of it, 100% chance I die when I hit the ground from 150 feet up. I may not die right now, but within the golden hour, I'm dead. Internal bleeding, broken bones, collapsed lungs, TBI, I'm dead. That's grave danger. Like, it's a given. That's why OSHA says you have to wear a fall protection harness. It has to be a 5-point harness. You have to have a positioning lanyard and a 2 double rebar hook lanyard, and then you need to have a crawl chest ascender, and this is what you need to do that. Copy that. That's grave danger. It's not you might get an upper respiratory infection. It's like you will die if you fall from the water tower. So the interesting thing here, or the thing that we need to be aware of, is that what the court ruled was that OSHA didn't have the authority to enforce Biden's mandates for businesses with 100 plus employees. They did not say that mandates are unconstitutional. They said that constitutionally speaking, OSHA doesn't rise to the level of grave danger to be able to enforce these mandates. There's a difference there, okay? So, good conversation. Jared at Guns and Gadgets. Remember Jared?
Yeah.
From the Epic Shoot? Good dude. Jared from Guns and Gadgets was reporting on this yesterday. And so if you want more details on that, go check him out. Also worth mentioning, rare breed triggers versus wide open triggers / BDU, Big Daddy Unlimited. I was completely unaware that the wide open trigger was essentially a carbon copy of the rare breed trigger. I was given a wide open trigger for testing and evaluation. I've done nothing with it currently for 2 reasons. A, it's been incredibly difficult to tune. B, YouTube absolutely despises anything that replicates a bushing grun. You know what I mean? Like a full value, extra freedom bushing grum. Yeah, they don't like anything like that at all. So, that being said, I was given a wide open trigger by BDU. I had no idea that essentially it was a carbon copy of the rare breed trigger, which the rare breed dude they have filed an injunction against Wide Open Trigger and Big Daddy Unlimited. And there's a lot of shady shenaniganry going on there. I'll be frank, it has forced me to, I have not made any moves, but it has forced me to consider my relationship with Survival Dispatch, which is owned by Big Daddy Unlimited. So I don't like that. I don't like that methodology of operation, because it sounds low down dirty. And we try and operate to the best of our broken ability with honesty and integrity here, and I don't like low down dirty. But more information on that, Johnny B at his channel has got some commentary on that. Jared at Guns and Gadgets has some commentary on that as well, so feel free to check that out. Good morning, House Tappendorf. Tactically Torah, shalom brother, good morning. Now, to the brief. The potential for modern-day internment camps for the unvaccinated has been a topic of concern recently. Once again, the internet is aiding fear to spread faster than critical thinking. New York, Missouri, and Washington at least are the rotating subjects of these rumors. And essentially, I'm going to read some words here on the page because that's my job, that's what I do, but it comes down to a lot of y'all, a critical mass of y'all are forwarding links to the Dance Monkeys intel at bearindependent.com that are overwhelming horse nonsense. Arkansas living, what's up, bro? You know what? Let's use the big words. Children earmuffs. They're bullshit. Bullshit reporting on internment camps and people being rounded up to go into internment camps. Does that mean that the camps don't exist? No. Does it mean that you are that you could potentially go there? No. It means that the reasoning for and the reporting, air quote reporting, that's gone into these articles, basically saying that everybody's going to get rounded up and go into internment camps, it's all a bunch of horse shit. And you're flooding my intel box with it, and the Dance Monkeys don't appreciate it, and y'all need to do a better job of policing yourselves before you believe something like that to the point where you feel the need to forward it to me, because it indicates very clearly that you're not thinking this through. We've talked about this before. We are still, as of right now, as of this very moment, I am sitting in the midst of a federally declared emergency disaster zone. Do you see any feds?
No.
Have we seen any feds since we've been back here?
Since we've been back this time?
Yeah.
No.
Has anybody come by to check our papers?
No.
No.
We saw like 3 last time.
Yeah, we saw 3 whole feds the whole last time we were here.
Dorks with clipboards.
Dorks with clipboards. Do you know how many people, including the National Guard, were like, what unit are y'all with? Who are you? We're like, we're Grindstone. What branch is Grindstone? We're not. We're us. We're an NGO. And they're like, we're better at doing Fed shit than the feds are. Okay. So they're gonna round us up and put us in camps. Like, how many times do I have to tell you? Don't get on the bus. Don't stand in the bread line. Like, they're not coming for you. They don't care enough about you to put you into the camps. To the extent that they build camps like that, it's to keep them away from you. Okay? They don't have... I think there's a certain element of narcissism here as well. It's like, I'm so special that the feds are going to come and put me in a camp. You know how many 340 million people there are in the country? You know how big that camp is? It's the size of the United States. That's how big it is. They're not coming for you. Okay? Now, onesies, twosies, maybe you're seeing us in Australia, in Poland, in Germany, right? They're taking these people in China, these forced relocation camps. There's one difference between us and them. One. I will show you this. Okay? This is the difference between us and them. And that, I really want you to think about if you're all like, they're coming to take me away, haha. Are they? Are they really? If you're that concerned about the fact that they're coming to take me away, haha, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Have you decided? I have some lines in the sand, sir or madam, and if you step over these, there will be bloodshed. And I don't mean that as a threat. I don't even mean that as a promise. I just mean it as a fact of life. If I jump off the water tower, gravity will smash me into the ground. I don't have to like it. It's just a fact. It's just the way it is. It is a fact of life. If you cross this line, bad stuff will happen. It's not a threat. It's not a promise. It's just a fact of life. Okay? Have you put any thought to that at all? At all. As my son in the army says, stay strapped or get clapped, LOL. Yep, I agree. One of Washington State's local news channels, KREM2, a CBS affiliate, specifically addressed this issue in an article titled, "No, Washington won't forcibly quarantine those who have COVID-19 or are unvaccinated." End quote. The Board of Health has received over 25,000 emails about an item on the agenda to be discussed this last Wednesday, and members and staff have been threatened. Misinformation led people to believe that the board was to decide on changes to certain quarantine rules, though no decisions were to be made that day. Washington State Board of Health Chair Keith Grellner said, quote, "Just to be really clear, our board meeting on Wednesday is our board meeting on Wednesday, and there's a misquote here, is there are no conversations about isolation or quarantine camps. There are no rules existing or in the making to create isolation and quarantine camps. There are no rules, and there is no process in place to create a rule to involuntarily quarantine or isolate COVID-19 positive people. Regardless of vaccination status, there are no laws and no plans to do that," end quote. Now, the thing to point out here is it's good for people to stand up. The 25,000 emails, that's great. Because one of the best ways you can deal with a bureaucrat, the feds with the clipboards, is swamp them, inundate them, keep them busy dealing with that rather than, trying to push people onto a bus. Well, it's not FEMA that would put people on the bus, it's the National Guard. The National Guard can't direct traffic, okay? Now, I know that there's certain National Guard units who have been deployed doing the things during GWOT. There are many good Guard units, and frankly, there are many high-value individuals that have been quietly cached away within Guard units. The Guard units that they send out into areas like this to do stuff like that can't direct traffic, okay? So, anyway, it's good that people stand up. It's good that people stand up. 25,000 emails in a week. That's great. The question is, the new domestic terror units, we'll talk about that in a moment. The question is, standing up for what? Are you standing up for bad information? And so you need to do your own analysis there. I can't spoon feed you every piece of information. You need to make decisions in your life every day. But it is good that people stood up and sent 25,000 emails saying, no, negative, we're not doing this. Because it shows the type of response. Whether or not Washington State Board of Health Chair Keith Grellner had planned to have conversations about quarantine camps or not, because of these 25,000 emails, they definitely weren't. Okay? So that's thumbs up. That's awesome. Like, that's good news. And it gets back to, they will only do what you let them do. What were the certain quarantine rules being discussed? WAC, or Washington AC 246-100, Chapter 040, was the part that spooked people. Quote, now this is Washington State we're talking about. A local health officer may issue an emergency detention order causing a person or group of persons to be immediately detained for purposes of isolation or quarantine. End quote. A local health officer may issue an emergency detention order causing a person or group of persons to be immediately detained for purposes of isolation or quarantine, end quote. A health officer alone cannot force anyone into quarantine. An order has to be submitted to a superior court judge, a hearing will be scheduled, both parties present their case, and the judge can decide whether or not the person must be ordered to quarantine for the sake of public safety. Grellner said that the only time he knows of it being used was because of tuberculosis. The legislation in question has been in place for 19 years. Now, does that mean that it can't be used for COVID? No, it could, in theory, be used for COVID. However, it's not new legislation. It's 19 years old. It's pre-existing legislation, which could be co-opted by the evil people of Washington State. But it's not a new thing. And per this legislation, the order has to be submitted to a superior court judge. And then a hearing will be scheduled. And then both parties present their case. And then the judge can decide whether or not to quarantine that person because of public safety. So there are some checks and balances in there. There are some steps there. There is the opportunity for legal representation. There is the opportunity to redress your grievances. It is not, we're going to put you in handcuffs and take you into this camp, and then we'll decide later. Now, Twitch, Shield Bearer of Faith, has a couple of good videos that he's put out recently on his channel. He was a law enforcement officer in the state of Virginia where they ECO'd people regularly, where essentially they said, you are a danger to yourself or other people. I need to put you in handcuffs right now, many times against your will, and take you to the hospital so that we can do a check on you to determine whether or not we can let you back out into the public. And this is me paraphrasing his words. And so if I got any of that wrong, that's my fault, not his fault, okay? His channel is Shield Bearer of Faith, and he's been discussing that stuff that he has done in real life as a law enforcement officer there. And basically saying that the authority exists there in Virginia to be able to do that type of thing for COVID. Again, getting back to, and let's say that that's the case, that it does exist. Okay? Let's say that it does exist. Where are your lines in the sand? Where are your lines in the sand? We see all the time. We see our friends in Norway. Oh, how far the Vikings have fallen. Well, in Norway, they don't have weapons. They're not allowed to protect themselves. They're not allowed to, they can't, well, blah, 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 blah. Let me show you something they do have in Norway. They have these. They have these. This makes a pretty good, no. This makes a pretty good no. Tar and feathers was a thing for a long time. Pitchforks and torches. So, where are your lines in the sand? But if I don't comply, then they won't let me play in the system, the same system that you're bitching about. They won't let you play in that one, the same one that you're bitching about. Got it. For now, these are just rumors fueled by the internet and a lack of critical thinking. Perhaps this could become fact in the future, but it does not appear to be so today. Bear Nation, it may be wise to decline to pass on so-called information from the internet before confirming the facts from a reputable source. And we'll look here briefly at stardem.com. The U.S. government report looking at putting high-risk COVID individuals into camps/green zones. Now, this is from August 11th, 21. And Washington, U.S. Centers for Disease Control Planning report looked at the idea of putting high-risk individuals for developing severe COVID symptoms in isolation camps or green zones. The CDC report was published in July 2020, a while ago, a year and a half ago, and was presented for policy discussions and considerations. The federal report focused on using a, quote, shielding approach to deal with curtailing the spread of the pandemic. The shielding approach aims to reduce the number of severe COVID-19 cases by limiting contact between individuals at higher risk of developing severe disease or high risk and general population low risk. The same report also alludes to long-term containment of the general population. Quote, the shielding approach suggests physically separating high-risk individuals from the general population to prioritize the use of the limited available resources and avoid implementing long-term containment measures among the general population, the CDC report reads. The study looked at the potential isolation and containment of high-risk COVID individuals in households, neighborhoods, and camp settings. The neighbor plan could entail a designated shelter group of shelters with a max of 5 to 10 households. The neighbors swap households to accommodate high-risk individuals. This is all think tank bullshit. The report was conducted during the Trump administration. It is now drawing attention from those concerned about civil liberties and how far government restrictions and mandates could go during this and future pandemics. The CDC reports look at putting individuals with tuberculosis, severe immunodeficiencies, or dementia into separate isolation zones and camps and discusses how to handle COVID patients with mental illness. It also examined which groups might fit into the high-risk category, including those with chronic kidney disease, obesity, serious heart conditions, sickle cell disease, and type 2 diabetes. So did they do a report to think about internment? Absolutely they did. Did they make any recommendations to do that? No, they just looked at it. Are they building containment camps? Maybe. Are you going to go there? Are you going to go there? How are they going to get you there? You're just going to, well, I know it's wrong, but I'm getting on the bus anyway because I've just got to do what I've got to do. Oh, okay. Best of luck with you. I wish you the best of luck with that. Again, let me tell you, from a federally declared disaster zone, national emergency zone, you can't even tell the feds are here. You can't even tell. The full weight of the United States federal government, FEMA, and the National Guard are here. Can't even tell. You can't even tell. If something like this were to happen, like putting people into camps thing, it'll be willingly. The normies will go along with it. Don't be where it is. Samuel Adams, good morning. I had 2 of your beers last night, sir. They were delicious. Delicious. There are far more of us than them. They are incompetent and broke, by the way, Look who it is.
Shalomo.
Shalomo?
No, Shalom all.
Oh, all right.
Granola.
Granola. It's all an illusion, people. They have the illusion of authority. You let them have the illusion of authority. Well, if I don't do this thing, then they'll do that thing. If I do this thing, then they won't do that thing. Yeah. False paradigms. False paradigms. With that, I'm going to bid you a happy day. We got stuff to do today. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for supporting the show. Patreon.com. Search for Bear Independent. RefugeMedical.com. The best first aid kits on the market. No questions. Have any Samuel Smith lately? Not lately. I need some more. Thank you, Matthew. RefugeTraining.com. We've got classes coming up with Carl at Tactical Rifleman in the Waco, Texas area. joint effort there. And we've got in North Dakota classes coming up with SAW and Rex, Taborosaurus Rex, coming up as well. And we've got some classes currently in the Salt Lake City area, and then Dallas and Oklahoma, and hell, I don't remember where else. So lots of cool stuff happening at refugetraining.com as well. So check that out. And we appreciate y'all very much. Don't get on the bus. Don't stand in the bread line. Have your own bread line. And be surrounded by well-armed, well-trained, well-regulated human beings who are ideologically aligned with you. And don't believe the bullshit. I think that's the takeaway from today. Don't believe the bullshit. Shalom.